Hey everyone, we have 38 weeks to go. Welcome to the 38 Weeks to Go podcast. My name is Nash, and I am your host. It's Gameweek 1, and I am excited. This is when we get our last chance to make our team changes without any costs accrued. So, let's get to it. My team name is Team BV. You will see me in the standings. So, yeah, feel free to look at and make fun of my team. Or be jealous with envy, it's fine. I'm okay either way. So, I'm going to tell you how I made my team. Quick disclaimer, the last time I was good at fantasy football, Wigan was still in the Premier League, so yeah, do with that information what you will. Basically, don't take my word for fact. Make your own decisions, do your own research. And most importantly, do not blame me for your own choices. In order to make my initial team, I just basically used two criteria. 1. How did they do last season? 2. How much do they cost? 3. The fixture list. How are the games looking for these teams? For those of you starting out with fantasy for the first time, please do not play with your heart. You're no less a fan if you do not choose somebody from your team. They will most likely let you down. Fantasy has a hidden purpose, and the purpose is to make you appreciate many different teams and many different individuals that you wouldn't ordinarily care for. And nothing does it better than fantasy football. So it's okay to appreciate that Haaland is good, even if you're a Manchester United fan, or that Saka is good. If you're a Spurs fan, good is good, and points are points. And if you play with your heart, it will let you down, especially if you make the wrong decisions. So the first thing I did was looked at the top performers of last season by goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and forward. For goalkeepers, at number 1 we have Raya, formerly of Brentford, who scored 166 points. Number 2 we have Alisson at 5.5, who garnered 162 points. At number 3 we have Pope, who scored 157 points. At number 4 we have Jose Sa from Wolves, who scored 148 points. And at number 5 we have the Arsenal keeper, Ramsdale, who had 143 points. When it comes to defenders, at number 1 we have Trippier with 198 points. At number 2 we have White with 156 points. At number 3, tied with White, we have Alexander-Arnold with 156 points. At number 4 we have Gabriel from Arsenal, who had 146 points. And at number 5, we have me from Brentford, who had 143 points. When it comes to midfielders, at number 1, we have Mo Salah, 239 points. Number 2, we have Odegaard with 212 points. At number 3, we have Rashford with 205 points. At number 4, we have Saka with 202 points. At number 5, we have another Arsenal midfielder, Martinelli, with 198 points. As you can see, it will be tricky to choose a player from Arsenal. With the forwards, it will come at no surprise. Haaland was number 1 with 272 points. Not far behind him was Harry Kane with 263 points. At number 3 was Ivan Toney from Brentford with 182 points. Well done to him, considering he didn't play for a chunk of the last season. At number 4, we have Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa with 175 points. And number 5, we have Mr. Liability himself, Mr. Wilson. Will he play? Won't he play? Will he play the whole game? Will he play then he won't get injured? Will he play and get injured? at 157 points. Well done to him as well. Considering how little time he spends on the pitch, that's quite an impressive haul. So, with £100 million, we are supposed to make our Fantasy 11. For those of you new to the game, do not think of fantasy football as your dream left back, right back, centre back, mid, attacking mid, left, right, striker, winger. Just think of it as the highest performing players. That's all. So don't get roped into great defensive midfielders like the Kantes and them. They will get you nothing. Unless it's Jorginho who takes penalties, but that's rare. So with this money, we're supposed to choose 11 players and 4 substitutes. So for this next part, I'm just going to tell you about my team and how I went about constructing it. At the back, I decided to go with Alisson. He gained a solid point total and I believe in him. And I'm hoping that Liverpool's defense will be better this season. My backup keeper is Fulham's Ben Leno, formerly of Arsenal. I just believe he will start, and that's why I chose him, so that I could swap when the games are too tough for the other goalkeeper. At the back, I opted for 5 players: Trippier, Reece James, Ben White, Estupiñán, and Mings. Trippier was amazing for me last season, and his points tally just proves that he was a good call. So he was good at set pieces, he crosses a ball immaculately, and he used to gobble up all those bonus points for Newcastle whenever they won. I have Reece James here because he's a solid right back. He was injured last season and I believe that he will be better this year around. I am just basing this on faith and not on performance because Chelsea were horrendous last season and the defense was miserable. So I guess this is where I admit that I'm a Chelsea fan, because having just told you not to play with heart, here we go. Chelsea. I just believe when this man is fit, he can create an assist from that position, and at that price point, it's not punitive. My next defender is Ben White. He had a good season. He scored and he assisted. I was very impressed with his performances at right back. He was no Trippier, but he held his own. And now that Saliba is back, maybe Arsenal's defense will be much more solid. Estupiñán. I love this man. He really helped me last season. Ever since he started playing, he would pop out of nowhere with an assist or with a goal. It was quite impressive. And considering he didn't play the whole season, I'm looking forward to see what he can do with the whole season ahead of him. My last defender is Tyrone Mings. I chose him mainly because he's 4.5. I think at 4.5, he is great value for money. He will score and he will assist. And he's solid. If Aston Villa end up having a good season under Emery again, he will be quite a differential. There are a couple of budget defenders ranging between 4.2 and 4.5, especially if you look around Luton and Sheffield. Once we know for real who will be playing, they may end up being of great value, because as we know, there's always that one team out of these 3 that come up that will surprise you. And once we figure out who that is, a lot of teams will change. When it comes to my midfield, I chose Eze from Crystal Palace. They're playing Sheffield and I think he will have a good game. I am also thinking that he will be Crystal Palace's main man now that Zaha's left for Galatasaray. I'm hoping that the form he showed towards the end of the season is real, and I hope for success. Rashford is my next choice. I picked him up because he had an amazing season last season. He had arguably his breakout year, which is silly to say because he had one before, but this was his highest return in fantasy. And now it's to see whether he can be consistent. So here's our fingers crossed. Next, I opted to go with Saka, Arsenal's golden boy. It's self-explanatory. He's Arsenal's golden boy, and we just hope he can be consistent, and he will be great. That's all. Last season, I had gone with Martinelli, and he did not disappoint. The partnership between him and Gabriel Jesus was amazing. And this time around, I'm just going to go with Saka, because Arsenal's midfield are roughly all the same price, so Martinelli isn't the differential that he was last year. My fourth midfielder is Mitoma from Brighton. Ever since Trossard left, he left a gap that was filled so easily by Mitoma, you wouldn't even have known that Trossard left. I would hate to be him because it's like I even forgot he was in that team. Mitoma was so amazing. He just fitted in so seamlessly. De Zerbi just knew what to do with him, and it's actually because of Mitoma that Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't in my team. He totally butchered him. It was crazy. I don't even know how he ended up at 8.0, which is also the real reason he's not in my team. But Mitoma, with a full season under his belt, I can't wait to see what this man will do. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being in the top 5 of midfielders next year. My final midfielder is Mbeumo from Brentford. With even Tony missing due to suspension, Mbeumo will become the penalty taker, and he will be the heart of the team. The thing about Mbeumo for me was, he always seems to be in the action. He always seems to be involved. And I'm hoping that this year he has just a bit of a better finishing touch, because last year was painful to have him. He would constantly be hitting the post, ending up in one-on-ones and sort of missing more than you would like from somebody who would be having that many positions. And I'm hoping that he has a better time this year around. When it comes to my strike force, you know who was in my team. You know. Let me just get it off. Haaland. He has to be in my team. And I'll tell you for free right now, he's my captain. He needs no introduction, so I'm not going to introduce him. That's all. Haaland is my striker, my first man on the team. And yeah, that's it. My second player is Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea. I watched Chelsea's preseason games. It sucks that Nkunku got injured, so don't choose him if you don't know about his injury. Nicholas Jackson has been amazing. All the highlights I saw that involved him had him making such great decisions. He was passing the ball well, or running well, or creating well, or finishing well. He just seems like a good all-round team player. And I am convinced that he will be good for Chelsea. Usually I would wait to see how Chelsea fare first before making such a decision, but I'm just sold, and I'm hoping this decision doesn't come back to bite me. So, because of having Haaland, who is 14.0, it really limits what you can do. I initially tried to have both him and Salah in my team, but that just didn't make any sense. Of course, if things go crazy, if Salah just takes off, I'm going to have to get him into my team. But as for right now, I'm just going to give it a miss. With 4.5 left, I had to go for a cheap striker, and I opted for Luton's Makati. I'm hoping that's the right pronunciation, and I'm sorry if it isn't. I have absolutely no idea if he will play, but I just have him anyway because he is 4.5, and that's my team. Or at least that's my team right now. Something may change, but not much. There are many ways to build a team. Some people opt for a very strong 11 and a very weak bench. Some people like me try to go for balance. And of course, in the AI era, there's the AI team. So I'm going to share it with you. The AI team says that the players it chose have the best chance of getting the highest points in the first 5 game weeks. I'm hoping it's not one of those ChatGPT hallucinating things type team. But let's see what you think. Are your pens ready? Okay, let's go. At goalkeeper, we have Edison from Man City, from the champions. That makes sense. Let me point out that this formation is a 3-4-3. At centre-back, we have Estupinian. I'm glad AI approves of my choice. At centre-back, we have Gabriel from Arsenal. The third centre-back is Stones from Manchester City. In the midfield, we have Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and then we have Saka and Mitoma. And at the top, they have Haaland, of course, Ollie Watkins, and Wilson. So based on data alone, you can tell that it really went for the strongest performing players from last season. Also, in case you weren't following, this is a very strong 11. The bench is weak. If you knew these players before this, you are the MVP. You deserve all the accolades. You are a hero. I'm not even going to mention their teams so that you can just guess. Sub-keeper, Macy. Sub-defender, Baldock. Sub-defender, Bayer. Sub-midfielder, Ahamada. Oh my goodness, that reminds me of a player I used to sign in FM, but that's a different story. So, if you want help from AI, now you know who to choose. And blame AI. Now, let me tell you who the most chosen players are by percentage of ownership by players this season. For game week 1, at goalkeeper, we have Areola. I won't lie, I'm surprised. I guess people are banking on him overtaking Fabianski. In case you didn't know, Areola is now at West Ham. At 4.0, that's quite a deal. I may change my selection. I'll think about it. Number 2 is Onana. That's an interesting choice. I didn't think he'd be up so high. He's definitely number 1 for Manu, especially now that De Gea is gone. And yeah, I have nothing against him. Former Barcelona, former Inter keeper. He is good. And let's see if he can help that Manchester United defense. And number 3 in goalkeeping, we have Ramsdale, Arsenal's keeper. If you saw the Charity Shield, he was quite impressive. And I'm sure just that performance alone will boost his selection. At number 4, we have Edison from Manchester City. They are the champions. Towards the end of the season, they were super solid. And it makes sense. Everybody loves winners. When it comes to the highest percentage of defenders owned by fantasy managers, I won't lie, I was surprised. Estupinian is number 1. 52% of all the managers have chosen him. 52%. That is very impressive. It is clear that most managers share my opinion of him. Number 2 is Trippier. I'm not surprised. He was really amazing last season, and we are all hoping for the same. He has been chosen by 34.7% of the managers. That is a good call. Number 3 is John Stones. They are playing against Burnley, and people believe that there's going to be a clean sheet in this game. And they're not wrong. Burnley were hammered, was it 6 or 7 in the FA Cup last season? So it's not a wild expectation. The only thing is, will he start? Unless Man City are going to continue doing that whole he's a defensive mid thing now, then he would be a great option. A perfect option even, because there's nothing better than a player in fantasy who plays a position higher than he is listed. And by that I mean a midfielder who plays in midfield but is classified as a defender, or somebody who plays as a striker but is classified as a midfielder. Why? Because they gain extra points when they score or when they keep a clean sheet. Number 4 is Gabriel. At this point, I'm beginning to think that I should change my Ben White to Gabriel. He was good last season. He and Saliba had a great partnership, and Arsenal will be really good if they stay fit. And to be honest, I'm wondering why not too many more people have Saliba instead. It seems like he would be a differential. At number 5, we have Luke Shaw from Manchester United. Onana and now Luke Shaw. It seems people really have faith in the Manchester United defence. I'm surprised, but maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I should really look at their fixture list again. At 27.1%, that's quite a good number of people. With Malaysia out, maybe that position is his for sure. And if you can find somebody who's going to start for sure, that's the best player to choose. So maybe that's a good call. In the midfield, number 1 is Saka. With a 56.8% selection, it is clear that he is a fan favourite for Premier League managers. At number 2, we have Rashford, another one who enjoyed a very good season last year, and we'll be hoping for more of the same. Everyone is hoping that it is Ten Hag who has unlocked him, and that he will continue to maintain this standard of performance. With Rashford, consistency is his biggest issue, and that is the only thing holding him back from becoming the next big thing. At number 3, we have Mitoma. It is clear that people believe in what they saw from him last season, and I'm one of those, so I am fully happy and endorse this decision. At number 4, we have Bruno Fernandes, and I think he is doing very well in being selected because his price dropped, and now having him isn't such a burden. At 8.5, 26.9% of the managers believe that he is worth the gamble. And of course, as you all know, he's Manchester United's penalty taker, so that may have a lot to do with it as well. Rounding up the top 5 midfielders is Mo Salah. At 12.5, around 23.5 people have chosen him. It's a weird thing to say, but at such a low percentage, especially for Mo Salah, who is a proven commodity, he will be a differential. It's a weird thing to say, but it's still true. I think that percentage of ownership shows you how much more faith people have in Haaland, because you have to sort of choose between them, and I think most people went for Haaland. When it comes to forwards, I guess it's not a shocker, but Haaland is number 1 with a whopping 86.5%. To be honest, I was impressed by the number, but then also part of me was like, why isn't it 99%? Who watched Haaland last season and thought, no, not that guy, I'm not going to take him? That is some serious hate. Hate. You are making a bad decision. That is all. Although having said that, not having Haaland could be the best thing you do for your team if he underperforms. After all, everyone has him. For those of you who don't have Haaland, you better have Salah. You just better have Salah. Otherwise, just stop playing. Stop right now. The second highly most chosen player in the forward section is Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. Aston Villa have been impressive. I won't lie, since Emery took over, they have been a very good team. I'm waiting to see what Tielemans and the new signings bring to the table. I'm hoping to see great things, and who knows, maybe they're going to win the UEFA Cup. And who knows, maybe Ollie Watkins might be leading the charge. 23.8% of people chose him, and he was good last season, especially towards the tail end of the season. For his great performances last season, he was promoted in terms of his price, and he's now 8.0. So that's the main reason I don't have him. But if Mr. Jackson lets me down, he will definitely be the first person I change. Number 3 is Darwin Núñez, the Uruguayan. He didn't quite live up to potential last season, and so at 7.5, that is quite a good deal. a lot of people, well, me, are wondering whether I should choose him or Gakpo. And so I'm going to make that decision after 2 to 3 games, especially if Jackson doesn't work out. 16.2% of the managers believe that he is a good choice. And maybe that's how people are getting into Liverpool, especially if they're not choosing Salah. Number 4 is Alexander Isak, Newcastle's frontman. I'm surprised, considering Wilson did better. But let's wait and see. 15.5 people think that he will be good. So let's wait and see. Maybe he will outdo Wilson. At number 5, it's your boy, Nicholas Jackson. I guess people saw that video, those highlights, and people are starting to believe. So I guess maybe we are all onto something, or we've all been fooled, like those Andre Santos videos. So I am part of that 14.9% who were big believers in Nicholas Jackson. Random note, I thought he was Colombian. I was really surprised when I found out he was Senegalese. So, as you've seen, there are very many ways to make a fantasy team. Which way is the right way? Who knows? That is the joy of it all. And if you have another way, let me know. Well, another way that works, not just random guessing. Now, it's captain time. So, how do you choose a captain? Well, some people go with heart, some people go with form, some people go with opponents being played, and some just use a mixture of each. And there's no right way, really. But my way is Haaland first, and then if Haaland is unavailable, anybody else. Maybe Salah if I have him. But Haaland. Yeah, I guess you might know by now that I kind of believe in him. Manchester City are playing Burnley. So, given his form last season, quality of opposition, and Haaland being Haaland, that is an easy conclusion to come to. Another easy looking match is Crystal Palace versus Sheffield. And the problem is we don't know who to choose from Crystal Palace if it's not Eze. Brighton versus Luton also looks like great potential for points if you pick the right people. I really struggle with Brighton because every time I chose Gross, it would be Mitoma. When I choose Mitoma, it's March. When I put March, it's Welbeck. When I choose Welbeck, it's Undav. When I put Undav, it's Enciso. That team has so many good players. It's so frustrating. And it's so hard to pick a winner from those guys because they all score and they all do the right thing. It's annoying, but beautiful to watch. So I don't know how to choose a Brighton player. So I'm just going to go with Mitoma because I know it's just going to run at everybody and just faint them to death. I would include Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest in here, but it's such an unpredictable team. Nottingham Forest, I mean. You just don't know what team will show up. And they have so many players. You just don't know. So on paper it looks easy, but in practice, let's see. But it should be a win for Arsenal, that's for sure. Or at least, that's what I think. Manchester United might be having an easy game on their hands because the Wolves manager quit. And he quit so quickly. And so everybody likes to play a managerless team. However, Wolves signed O'Neill from a Bournemouth guy. And who knows, maybe the new manager bounce? So let's see, it will be an interesting game as well. So, it's still Haaland for me. Who will you be choosing? In transfer news, it's not clear whether Harry Kane will be with us in the Premier League next season. Or rather this season. So that is weird. I don't know why Levy would refuse to take that money, considering he knows that Harry Kane won't sign. I guess it's like a more polite version of the Mbappe situation. Anyway, in the confirmed transfer, West Ham have signed James Ward-Prowse, and that boy is a set-piece specialist. So he should be on your radar pretty soon. But also, we don't know what West Ham is yet. So take your time with that. And with that, we've come to the end of episode 1. I hope you liked it. It's 37 weeks to go now. I'm really excited for Gameweek 1. Let's go! Good luck to you all. And we'll talk to you next week.